Good afternoon. Welcome to the Bullock's Business Banter, 27th of July. It's a Monday, and it's a very dark Monday here in the centre of the UK. So yeah, it's wet. It's not very nice. Darren, what's it like down by you?
Exactly the same. Dark, brilliant. Wet, not nice. Yeah,
not particularly nice at all. Right. Okay. So that's what's only us two today. It was nearly just me.
Oh, right.
Yeah, leave it with 10 seconds to go next time, Darren. That'd be brilliant. Thank you for making me get really, really stressed. Anyway, let's do the headlines. So today's headlines: UK had to act rapidly on Spain quarantine. Number 10 will also keep the quarantine policy for other countries under review, says a minister. Unhealthy food deals targeted to tackle obesity. Ministers will also legislate for calories to appear on menus. Oh, that's going to make a difference. As part of the strategy to tackle obesity. COVID-19 coma pilots. I'm not sure what that means, that headline. COVID-19 coma pilot. Is that a pilot who's in coma or whatever? I don't know. He warns people not to be blasé. Scott Stephen Cameron spent more than 2 months in a coma in Vietnam after contracting the coronavirus. It's interesting. Spain races to save tourism as cases surge. The UK imposed, as we've heard over the weekend, a 14-day quarantine on all arrivals from Spain after a spike in infections. And the UK economy could take 4 years to recover. Happy days. Excellent. So, obviously, we're going to talk about Spain because that's a thing that's going on. But what I want to do is, just before we jump onto that, is that our results have come out. It's not the end of term results, but our for the past 30 days on our podcasts. I did send it across this morning, Darren, if you saw it.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal figures, but it's sort of proving that a lot of people are watching this on or listening to us on podcasts more than actually on live now, which is interesting. Because throughout the 30-day period that this has happened, there was nothing below 600 listeners on podcasts for each episode, where some of the episodes were peaking over 1,000, which is phenomenal. So thank you very much for that. If you don't listen on podcast already, it is on Spotify, it is on Google. It is on Apple and a system called Anchor, which is the actual system we use to broadcast on, and other podcasts as well. And we are being listened to in the UK, which is perfect. In the United States as well. Oh, well, there's a bit of bad luck for you. And Ireland, which is nice. So we've got a nice bit of split there. But the interesting thing is the age range, because the age range, we're quite big. We're not massive, but 18 to 34, and then there's a massive gap, and then it's 45 to 59, mainly men.
Us basically.
Well, yeah, we listened to it 1,000 times. That's what's happening. Yeah. which is a bit unnerving. So Spain obviously has caused a few issues. Finally, they had a bigger spike, and then the government, which a lot of people have been having a right go at this. They took 24 hours to decide what to do, and then made a decision to put everybody in quarantine who's coming back from Spain. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I don't guess. The whole quarantine thing for me is bizarre, and there has to be a level of common sense, doesn't there? But someone made a joke about it today on social media that I've just got back from Spain. I landed at Heathrow. I've been told I've got a quarantine for 14 days. So when I got my Costa coffee, it was very busy in there. I then jumped on the tube, really busy on the tube, sat next to an old man and old lady. They were lovely. I had a nice chat with them. Then got on my coach to the train to Paddington, on the train from Paddington to Exeter, then from Exeter on another coach. So basically, and then I'm going to go off and do my quarantine so I don't come in touch with anybody. I'm thinking, so he's taking the mick out of, he's probably seen, whilst he makes his way home, God knows how many people, whilst he's possibly got coronavirus.
Well, he should have the mask on if he's on a train or a coach.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
He should have that. But no, you're quite right. That the amount of people when they've come back and not prepared to go into quarantine. I mean, I had some friends who were going to they've still gone to Spain. They were driving there on Saturday. So obviously this was announced Friday midnight, wasn't it, by the government?
Yeah.
And they had to make a decision. I mean, they can't claim on insurance because this is only an advisory. They're not stopping you going, are they? So they're recommending that it's not only essential travel supposed to be, but if you booked a holiday, it's sort of essential travel. And so they've gone, and they're going to come back a little bit earlier so they can hit the quarantine. She's a teacher, so she's got like the 6 weeks holiday, but she was actually going for 4 weeks to a villa out there, and so now she's going to come back after 2 weeks and have 2 weeks quarantine, which is sensible. She's not going to take up any of the school time, which is good. But yeah, I mean, because of the cases are actually mainly in where was the main cases? There was like
were they northern?
Yeah, in the northern Spain, wasn't it? I mean, why can't they do what we've done in Leicester? What's because is that stopping everybody coming into the UK because we've got it in Leicester? No, it isn't. And no one's being quarantined when they're going back to a country if they've come here. So, one hand, yes, they've done the right thing quickly, the government, for a change. But then, should they have just said, well, okay, if it's northern territory of Spain, that's when the quarantine. That's what surely it should be. But
yeah, I suppose so. I suppose it depends if the Spanish are travelling back and forth as well, if they're working in resorts, and you might not be going to northern Spain yourself, but you might be in a resort where the employees are from northern Spain or whatever. It's a difficult one, isn't it? But for me, I just don't get how the enforceable side of that quarantine, and also as an employer. So if we had some staff and they came back from Spain and we know that, and they decided I'm going into work, as an employer, do you enforce that? Even knowing where they've just come from, do you say, sorry, you can't come back into work? How does it all work?
You can't, surely. It's not that can't happen. You can't have, if you're an employer. But somebody said on the news over the weekend, they said, well, if I go into quarantine, I'm going to lose my job.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of that, well, there's two sides of this. All right, so the people out there who didn't know this was going to happen, and so it's happened while they're out there. And so they're saying, oh, if I come back, I'm going to be in quarantine. I'm going to lose my job if I do that. But as I did say to several people over the weekend, it didn't say it was safe to travel on the government website. It just said, essential travel. That's what it said ever since we released it. So, you took it on yourself and took that risk, haven't you?
And this is the hard thing with COVID, isn't it? We've all got our own version of what's safe and what isn't safe. And for me, is it really essential to go to? Can't you wait? There's a world pandemic on, and for me, if you make that decision whilst there's a world pandemic on and everything is unstable, then you have the chance of it, impacting you in some way or another. So, yeah, I don't know. It's not my bag. But then other people contradict me and say, I've been working as an NHS worker. I deserve a break. We're going to lose our holiday and our money if I don't go.
We can go in this country, can't you?
Yeah, and they're saying that the prices have hiked in this country. People, because of the demand, it's hard to get a holiday in this country now. And I can see that. I can see, it's getting really busy around here now. So I do feel sympathy for them. But for me, I can never outweigh the money versus the health challenge or the risk, regardless of how small that risk is for me. But I
mean, this I understand. Yeah, I fully agree with what you're saying. I wouldn't, I'm struggling to leave the house. I don't want to go out, but it's going this country. I know it maybe they've some people have put the prices up. I understand that, but there are still cheap breaks you can get here.
Yeah.
My wedding anniversary on Thursday, just to let you know. So 25 years.
Wow.
Who believes that?
Oh,
yeah. Who was? Tina is? I don't know.
What
and I was able to get onto booking.com and book something. I will tell you on Wednesday about this. I won't discuss it today. But I'll book somewhere on Thursday. And I got the prices were good. There was nothing extortionate. So, I think this depends if people have suffered. I think if hotels, the big hotels can absorb the problem that they've had over the past 3 months, but I think the smaller bed and breakfast or the smaller boutique hotels and a lot of the caravan parks and stuff like that, which are renting out the caravans, they have hiked it up because they've got to claw the money back somehow, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? You'd hope that people would want to entice people down because everyone's a little bit nervous, but I'm just not seeing that nervousness from anybody. I went out on Sunday studying for my business partner, took a couple of Segway tours out and a climbing wall experience. And again,
Whoa,
people...
what? The Segway goes up the climbing wall.
Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? No, not quite that. No.
Gosh, that's dangerous. Anyway, sorry, yeah, I understand. Okay.
It's an event centre, so there's a few things to do there, caving and whatever else. But people just don't seem overly nervous. In fact, we've got like a little COVID station now where you read about it. You can wash your hands. You can wear a mask. There's masks there if you want to wear them. No one has ever picked up a mask, ever. So people just don't, and that's from lots of locals use it, but also lots of tourists. They just don't seem very nervous. They seem, I'm on holiday. COVID's not there if I'm on holiday.
No, it's not here with me. No, I mean, I went out Saturday to do some shopping, had the mask on, and felt very comfortable in it. I had one. Yeah. I actually had one of the normal cheap ones. I mean, we bought some of the cloth ones as well, but I just had the proper ones. You know, they buy a pack of 30 disposable ones. I know they're not great, but at least I disposed of it correctly. But the places where I went, there were still handfuls of people inside the shops that wasn't wearing masks, which is weird. But I did have a feel that when I came out, I forgot to do my hand gel when I got back in the car. And that's the first time that's happened. And I thought, is this because I've got the mask and I feel that, you know, I won't be able to catch it?
Falsely
I don't know. Yeah, I just think that's going to put a problem onto it.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's really hard, you know, with my daughter trying to explain that you can only do what you can do, but you got to continue to wash your hands, be vigilant around people. Just don't speak so face to face. Just turn away slightly. All little things will add up. But I did the same. I went to Sainsbury's on Sunday, and we have a home shop, so I went to buy some things, but we probably didn't necessarily need. Put the mask on. It's the first time I've felt safer in a supermarket because everybody had a mask on. I still turned away. I still, you know, tried to stay away from people, but I actually felt safer for the first time in a supermarket. It was much, much better.
No,
whether that's full security.
Well, not if everybody's got them on. Yeah. I mean, if everybody's got them on, that means the droplets. I mean, I don't know. It's still something which is a bit weird, isn't it? Because it's supposed to catch the droplets, isn't it? In the mask. That's it. What you're doing, what you're breathing out, not breathing in. But so you're breathing out. So you're if you've got it, then it'll stop it. But does it stop it? I mean, if it's not protecting you as a wearer, why should it protect? Why should it stop the bug going out?
I think there's loads of reasons, and I think some of them are if you sneeze inside your mask will be wet. If you touch your mask and then touch a surface, you're then spreading it in other ways. So there's lots of ways where the mask just doesn't work. But I think overall it has to reduce it. It would just reduce the distance. You watch some of these videos when people sneeze, it travels 20 or 30 feet. You know, it's just like, and you can't see that. So it would definitely reduce things. It's not perfect. It's far, far from perfect.
Well, I suppose if you had two people face to face and they had no masks and they were talking to each other, and then if, you know, the transference is whatever, 100%. Then if you had one person with a mask on, that's going to reduce the transference a little bit. But if both people got the mask on, it must bring it down considerable amount because it's got to come out that mask, travel slowly now because obviously that slowed it down and get through the other mask as well. So it's logical. Wear a bloody mask. It's quite as your man said in that video you sent out.
Flaws. It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I mean, I thought, shall I put it on? But obviously, there's a lot of swearing in it. A lot of swearing.
It's a lot.
What was his name? So we can get people to have a look.
Jonathan Pye. He just speaks utter sense all the time, but with lots of expletives, but also lots of intelligent words. He really mixes the bag. But it's just utter. It's common sense at the end of the day, but it is flaws. You know, there's nobody pretending a mask is false proof. If you've got COVID and you're putting your mask on, you've put it over your face, you've lifted it up, you've touched your face, you're now walking around. You might have hand sanitized whilst you walked in. I don't. I hand sanitize in the car. I hand sanitize back in the car when I get in the car. I don't use
anywhere. Normally, anywhere there's a station, I'm at it like that, in or out.
So there's chances of cross contamination all the way, but it's got to have a positive impact regardless of the percentage. And and as Jonathan Pye puts it, what's the downside? I've got to wear a little mask, a bit of cloth around my face for 10 minutes while I do my shopping. And what does a nurse have to do? And the sores, and the 12 hours a day, a nurse has to do it. And like he says, if you can't breathe with this little tiny piece of cloth in front of your face, then maybe either you should be wearing masks because you're at the high risk, or you shouldn't even be out in the first place. So
the only thing I found was we'll talk about masks design now. Is that the hot air comes up. I didn't have my glasses on because I only need these for reading. But it makes you hot. Because you don't realise how hot the air you breathe out, how hot it is. And it was coming, obviously, the only way it can escape, if it's got a tight fitting around here, is up where the gaps are here. And it just makes you feel I felt like I was ill. I thought, of course, I got a temperature. And I said, I've got a temperature. And she went, no, it's your mask, just the hot air.
To be honest, I've got a baseball cap on, and I've got a checkered flag mask that have been made. Tracy's been making masks left, right, and centre. And I feel cool. I feel like the Lone Ranger. So I feel like I'm going in,
Don't say the Lone Ranger. That's Trump's thing. Don't say that. But no, wear a mask for God's sake, because it's going to be the cure. Well, not the cure, but this is the way we're going to defeat this. But there's spikes happening everywhere now. The other thing I wanted to talk about today was obviously. Well, I did put it on the WhatsApp group this morning, which I wanted to talk about, but it's actually the idea that our wonderful government and the Treasury are going to put a sales tax onto online sales. The Chancellor I'll just read this. The Chancellor has revealed the Treasury is looking into an online sales tax in a bid to boost government coffers, as they say, and aid to struggling high streets. It would run alongside the existing business rates tax system introduced in 1990, where retailers pay taxes based on their so-called rateable value, essentially the rental value of their property. The problem with this is that the current system is that it favours online retailers that don't have to pay pricey rents. But now we're going to have a tax for online sales. I have no idea how they're going to run this, because I mean, they're now going to. It's like it has to be an extra VAT, I suppose. It's like going to be a VAT threshold or something, where you're going to have to, any online sales you do, you're going to have to add that extra taxable income on it. But how are you going to explain which one's an online sale and which is an in-store sale? I mean, it's going to break it down to a point where no one's going to dodging your taxes again. Without a system in place, I can't see how they're going to do that. I mean, can you?
No, I agree. I think what this proves, though, I think, is that them £1 billion that they keep finding down the back of a settee.
Still have no mind.
No, nor mine. It's going to come back and bite us, and this is the start of it, isn't it? The government's trying to get inventive. Where are their revenue pots? Where is there still money going through? We've all gone mad. We've all got probably Alexas in every room. We've had home shopping and bought all our 50,000 toilet rolls. So they're sort of they're realising there's still money being spent, and where can we claw that tax back? And this is just the start. It's the tip of the iceberg. But you're right. How on earth they police it, and how on earth you pay it? Well,
it's going to. I mean, it's going to hit the. I think this is aimed. I don't think it's. What I was worried about is the little businesses that sell a bit online. It may not affect them. I think they're probably going for like the Amazons and all the big retailers who do like Next, who do a lot online. And it's visually, you can see that they sell a lot online. But for the small businessman in a store, in a normal bricks and mortar store that does a little bit on the lot online, that's not fair. There's another thing to bash them with.
Absolutely. You look at our business, my business, where majority of our bookings are done online. So
so we've had to back pace.
Absolutely, we're selling our service online. They're coming and taking. It's not a product as such, but it's still an online sale. So would that get impacted?
But it's not. Oh, but that person is still coming to you, aren't they? That's the thing.
Yeah,
it's not like they're buying a Segway, whatever we call them. They're not buying one and then you delivering it to them and they're keeping it. They're coming. They're paying online and then coming to you like any other service. It's a service industry, really, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that surely it can't cover that. It's got to be just. Well, I hope not. I mean, it would be ridiculous if it started doing that, because you know, online bookings for cinemas. You know,
Yeah.
you pay for your tickets online. Is that going to be taxed? You can't tax that. They're not. You're still going to the property to watch the film. You know, so well, it's a good idea for the big boys, Amazons and all that, but for the little independents and the smaller businesses, it's going to be horrific. I can't see that working at all.
No, and I'm no Andy when it comes to politics, but unfortunately, the Tories do have a bit of a reputation of hitting the wrong demographic when they apply these taxes, don't they? So whether it does it the big boys, I don't know.
No, I'm just have a look at. I'm just having a look see if it says anything else on here. You know, there's a review of the capital gains tax. That can't be anything to do with it. No, it doesn't give any details. I think it's just something they're just pushing out there to gauge the reaction, isn't it? I think that's what I would say.
One of many.
So over the past, since you've been with us, Darren, over the past few weeks and months now, really, we have had a couple of comments come in to say, obviously, we understand your business that you've got on the Segway side of things, but your proper job, as we'll call it, is with BT, right?
Yeah.
So explain, because you have done before, but either you haven't explained it very well, or I and other people haven't listened to it correctly and figured out what the flaming hell you do, because you keep mentioning about logistics and bringing stuff in on planes, which, excuse me, isn't BT a phone company?
Well, BT does many things. It does many things. And it's funny because I think going back to the previous job I had to this one, which is similar, my mother used to ask the same question. And I actually got my team to do a bit of an exercise where they have to explain their job to their mother, but write it.
Oh, he's gone. Now that's interesting. That's just me now. It is just me. Hang on a second. We'll find out where Darren's gone. Because literally, I wanted to see what Darren did. And he's coming back in. He's coming back in. Here he is.
That was BT. They were cutting us off because we was talking about them.
I'm going to say, that's hilarious, because it was like you literally said you're about to start saying what you did and you vanished. So start that sentence again.
So yeah, basically, if I was explaining this to my mother, I'd say I'm a professional apologizer on behalf of BT, but that was my old job.
Right. Okay.
I was a service manager basically. So the part of BT I work for now, the service we do is a messaging service for logistics. So basically, as a plane's in the air, all of its goods.
Why is there a plane? Right, I'm going to stop you and ask questions. Why is there a plane in the air? Is this a BT plane or somebody else's plane?
No, somebody else's. Anybody's cargo. So every bit of freight that comes into this country goes via BT's messaging system to clear customs. Right. So it dates back many years, but it's a messaging system because there's nowhere to store them goods when they hit the ground. There's no sort of sheds to hold them for a long amount of time. They have to have a freight forwarder that picks it up and takes it somewhere else. So basically, the goods come through the air. BT via our app, and messaging service, we clear customs with HMRC and Border Force, or they don't clear customs for whatever reason. They go down to the freight forwarder. They get a message via this app and messaging service to pick it up because it's there ready, and it moves on. Within 4 hours of that messaging service being broken, no airplanes can clear the country because the backlog. All them goods are stuck on airplanes and they can't get them off the runway. So it is a big service. It's a real serious service. But BT are quite renowned for these obscure sort of services. As I've mentioned before, they invented the touchscreen on the Apple iPhone and sold it to Apple. We have a street of the future up in Martlesham in Ipswich where you walk round and there's a bank, there's a health centre. I'm trying to think of the other one, but I went there when the Nokia flip phone first come out, and I put it on this giant, what was later becomes like a touchscreen table, but this was long before touchscreen tables, and it pulled all the information off my phone, even though I had no Bluetooth or anything on, so it knew my name, knew my phone number, and they were able to throw a portfolio to my phone, very sort of, and I'm going back 15 years or more. So BT's really good on innovation. You'd be surprised the type of things. We've got a drones department which go off and hunt rogue drones down called Drone in a Box, and do security. Yeah, they're very, very. They have a big innovative department in Martlesham in Ipswich, which just comes out with loads and loads of weird and wonderful ideas, as well as telephony and all the other stuff we do. But I have to say, it's an interesting, very big company to work for. Has its faults, but yeah, they do some incredible stuff. They really do. The one when you was mentioning about the ID on a phone, and you was talking about Retina display, well, that same, when I was going down that street to the future, they had a bank, and as you walk through the bank, and again, I'm going back 15 years, so technology's moved on a lot. I haven't been there since. And as you walk in the bank, it recognises you if you've got lots of money. So obviously the person comes out with their tea tray, or if you're actually in debt, so the person gets a bit stern. But you put your hand into a fingerprint recognizer, but it also measures blood flow to make sure your hand hasn't been severed off. So,
oh my lord.
Yeah, so it measured to make sure you're still alive at the same time. So yeah, not only was it taking your fingerprint, but it's making sure there's blood flowing around that hand as well.
That is great. I'm glad you explained that, because it was just, I mean, other people have asked me and said, "What does Darren do?" And I went, "He works for BT." So they went, "Oh, phone engineer." I went, "No, not that."
No, so we have big teams. A lot of them are in India, and they develop the products. They write the apps. We support it from a service point of view, so we have a help desk that I run. And again, once it goes down for a certain amount of time, it's such a big issue to the UK's import and export trade that it's a select committee service review. So if and touch wood, it hasn't for many years. If it does go down, I'll be sitting in front of politicians myself, trying to explain what I'm doing to make sure it never happens again. So it's a real big, important piece of infrastructure that BT offer. And it's quite impressive. It is quite impressive. You know, I'm quite proud.
Everything. If someone orders something from Wish, and it comes in from China,
it's
and
cleared
in customs, your system, the BT system, just deals with the messages for it, basically.
Yeah, everything through the air comes through us. Yeah, absolutely.
Not on ships then. Just
no. We do little bits of that, and we do little bits of what we call road on, road off, which is obviously because of Brexit. So we've got little bits of that as well, but mainly our part is air logistics. So I work for a part called BT Air Logistics. So it is a very, very interesting but challenging job.
Well, I'm glad you put that straight now. So I understand fully, and if anybody ever asks me in the future now, I can explain. I think I can. Well, that's nearly it for the end of the show. We just want to talk about briefly some sponsors, because we do have some sponsors coming up in the future. But if you fancy to sponsor the show, we are now getting some serious figures on the show. If you're listening on podcast, you can email me at matt@socialcommand.co.uk. I'll have a chat with you and tell you exactly what you can get. As I've already said, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook. We are on all the major podcast providers, virtually every single one of them. All the shows, anywhere between 800 to 1,100 viewers and listeners to each of the shows that we put on. So if you're interested, it's really quite cheap compared to everything else. You'll be branded at the top of the show and the end of the show, and we'll talk about your product in between as well. And Darren may move it through the air for you. You never know. So matt@socialcommand.co.uk. That is it for today. We are back on Wednesday for the Did You See show, which is about, it's a sort of movie and TV show review. And myself and Pete Sheriff, and anybody else wants to join us on Wednesday. Darren, thank you very much for being here today. It's a gloomy Monday, but I'm sure it's lifted some people's spirits.
Well, I'm hoping my lighting, which I'm disappointed, I'm just changing the colours of my lighting. Look, there's suntan.
Oh, that's
a little bit of my light. Oh, that's a bit.
You know what I did see at Costco over the weekend was a massive, it's a massive strip light, but it's LED. It's about that deep, and it's wider than the screen. My arms are wider than the screen. Huge thing, and it actually replaces your fluorescent tubes. But I was thinking I could put it in front of me; it'd light me up beautifully.
Absolutely. There's no point, though, is there? Because
I have got natural light.
But all the figures are on podcasts. We're putting all the looking gorgeous.
Is true. We still get decent figures on video, and also people do, check us out on video. So, but I mean, natural light should be the best. But today, it isn't. No. Anyway, we will see you Wednesday, everybody. Darren, thank you very much. See you soon.
Bye.